I've repopulated the Tremolo Reverb board for this Acoustic 260 and put in some new caps, the 1 microfarad, the 100 microfarad, and I didn't have one that was 0.39. I did a in series of 2 tantalums that were pulled off the board to kind of get close to that, more as a test to see what would happen. Changed out a few resistors, I think actually just one on this particular board. Now I have it hooked up to a noise generator. The pots, to test the pots were a little noisy. What we're going to be doing is coming in. As I was testing the pots, I noticed the oscillator. It excites the oscillator, so I thought that was interesting to show. I have the positive and negative right here on the intensity switch, and it's exciting this oscillator circuit through here through the data cell, which is a light bulb and a light bulb photosensitivity cell, which makes the tremolo circuit work. So if I turn, here is an Eico 147 signal generator slash voltage generator for noise. It puts about 100 some volts, 135 volts on the leads, less than a milliamp. They generate some noise. So there is this hookup. It's live right now. As I turn the intensity, it'll start to oscillate that frequency. Which the pot is noisy. It's an old pot. But on the iTube, let's see, focus there. On the iTube, as I increase the intensity, you can see the noise on the pot. That's off. It's turning it up. That is the voltage oscillating in there. That's the intensity. Now I'm going to turn up the speed. Everything's backwards on the flipped over here, so that's speed all the way down. As I increase the speed, we can see it working on the bench. Now that is the Tremolo board and reverb board. I put in the mod cap for the 100 microfarad. Changed out a bunch of 1 microfarad tantalums for some electrolytics. And then when I was mentioning this here, there was a 1 microfarad on there, but the schematic calls for the point where I'm at, a 0.39 tantalum, which I didn't have spare, and the other ones do have that in there. So I took 2 of those in series, and it measures about 0.34, 0.35 or something. It appears to be working. Now how it sounds, don't know. The voltage is working though, and this is just a little bit of voltage exciting the oscillating circuit. Turn the speed down and turn the intensity down. So I know this circuit's going to be a little scratchy, and that's kind of what I was testing. So turn the noise off. And I did the same thing with, I have some bias pots to replace on the power board that I'm going to be repopulating next. This is an old bias pot, 200 ohm, that has been destroyed. That's the noise circuit. Let's see if I can demonstrate. Hooking up the leads to it so it's not in the way when I go to adjust it. Or shorting it out. So turn to noise. And the iTube is a much more indicator. The audio for the scratching, it does scratch, but the audio isn't too loud on this. So right now we're not hearing anything because it just popped off. Here we go. So this is 200 ohms with the lower end blown out. So adjusting the bias on the power board was not possible with this device. Come all the way out. Well, here we go. Now the noise is coming through. So the one side of the pin must have been this side. It's just completely blown out. There's no contact at all. On this side there is contact, and what we're hearing is the electrons kind of blasting through that carbon track. I'll move the wiper a little bit. And even just kind of wiggling it. If I go all the way to the right on this side, nothing. Now I'll bring the track back in. Kind of hard to do, reaching around the camera. I can't really touch that at the same time because I get a nice little tingle. Either way, just wanted to demonstrate more or less the tremolo board for now. So in the intensity, hooked up the high voltage and the negative of the tracer of the noise signal, which excited the oscillating circuit for the tremolo. So it gives me some bias that it might work. You don't want to put it back in, and that's kind of nice. The acoustic 260 amp. This one has had some lifted traces, especially up here and up around here. The power amp board is not too much better in that regards. The power amp board actually has some blown out output emitter resistors that really charred the board up, which I'll be repopulating with some new output transistors, 411s, and to see if it can produce a nice signal again. It was actually still working in its current state, but that's because the driver transistors still put out enough to run the speakers.